The state is represented by Brian Goodyear. We are here for sentencing. Mr. Goodyear, are there any victims in the case who wish to be heard?
Judge, the victims are not present. We did receive information regarding requests for restitution. There is a gentleman named Jose Tobias Vasquez who's requesting $1,600 for damage to his motor vehicle. And then there's an individual named Justin Hypes who is requesting $75 for damage to his mailbox. So it'd be a total request for $1,675 in restitution. And then would you like for me to just discuss sentencing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, we had a little bit of discussion back in chambers, but as you mentioned, Mr. Clary certainly created a substantial risk to a number of people when he fled from the police in February. First of all, of course, to the officers involved, to himself, to the public at large. And I would point out, Judge, that at the time that he ran from the police, you have a number of factors that I think are aggravating in this case. Number one, he was driving 85 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. He went into oncoming traffic, ran multiple red lights. They actually performed a pit maneuver one time on his motor vehicle. It did not completely stop him, and despite that, he went into the median and then continued to flee. He was driving up to 100 miles an hour on State Route 73, where they had to do a second pit maneuver on him. And of course, as you know, Judge, when those pit maneuvers are done by the police, they're using their vehicle to try and impacting his vehicle, trying to stop him, which creates risk to the officer and to everyone else. That happened twice where he's finally stopped. He had in his system, he had a lab report or a test of his urine done after he was arrested. And in his system, there was gabapentin, marijuana, oxycodone, oxymorphone, and then it was a 0.171, which is like a 1.2 in urine of alcohol. So he was substantially impaired at the time and then fled the police, and from the state's perspective, created a risk to the extent that he deserves a prison sentence as a result of his behavior. We'd ask the court to sentence him to 24 months in prison.
Mr. Nagel, anything on behalf of Mr. Clary?
Thank you, Your Honor. In mitigation, Clary's 26 years old. This is the first time that he's been charged with a felony as an adult. Did have one offense as a juvenile, being an F4 weapon under disability in 2016, which he was 16 years old at the time. As the court's aware from reviewing the pre-sentence investigation, the sentencing memorandum, he does not have a significant record. He does have a handful of misdemeanors as an adult, but certainly nothing nearly as serious as what he's standing before the court on here today. He does have 3 children who he cares for and supports financially. Works at Bob Evans. I know the court has read the letter from his supervisor that I attached to the sentencing memorandum. Basically, the supervisor has nothing but good things to say about the young man. He's got the support of his family, Your Honor, especially his grandmother, who is present in court this afternoon to support him as well. The mother of his children, who, as it turned out, was able to get off work today, so she's here to support him this afternoon as well. He did serve a pretty significant stint in the jail, the county jail on this. He was there for 36 days before he was released on an OR bond with some other conditions. I believe that the period that he was incarcerated had an impact on him, which I think is evidenced by how well he's been doing since he was released in March. He's been on pretrial supervision with electronic monitored house arrest. He's only been able to leave home for employment purposes since March 25th. He's been compliant with the conditions of his pretrial release, with the exception of, I did see on the PSI report, he had a positive drug screen for marijuana in June. But other than that, I think he's been fully compliant, which I believe demonstrates to the court that he is a good candidate for community control. He's demonstrated a track record of complying with the terms of court supervision. He openly admits that he's got a problem with drugs and alcohol. At the time he committed these offenses in February, he was addicted to opiate painkillers, among other things. He was abusing oxycodone, was his drug of choice. As the prosecutor pointed out, there were several substances in his urine screen, which he did submit to on the date of the offense, including oxycodone, marijuana, and alcohol. And Judge, certainly we're not disputing what the prosecutor had to say regarding the seriousness of the conduct. Zach would be the first to admit that they are serious offenses, and that he certainly put the officers involved, as well as other members of the public who were on the road at the time, at risk of harm. And certainly this this could have turned out a lot worse for all the people involved with this. That being said, Judge, I can represent to the court that I've had a lot of interactions with Zach over the course of almost 6 months that I've represented him now. I wholeheartedly believe that his actions that day were the result of him abusing drugs and alcohol at the time, and that the young man that stands in front of you today, I truly don't believe is the same person as the one who decided to run from the police back in February. I know the court's also reviewed the letter from the mother of his children. Speaks to his involvement in the lives of his children. Again, we completely acknowledge that the seriousness of this conduct, to which he's admitted guilt. But we do believe that he has learned his lesson. I don't think you'll see any type of behavior like this out of him moving forward, no matter what the sentence is. To be clear, we're not asking the court to let him off scot-free. We acknowledge that there do need to be consequences for his actions, but we would submit that between the time that he's already served, both in the jail and on house arrest, combined with any conditions of community control that the court deems appropriate, we think those things can adequately punish him for the conduct, Your Honor. So we appreciate the court reviewing the materials that we've submitted, and to listening to what we have to say this afternoon, and just ask the court to consider all those things when fashioning a sentence, and consider imposing a term of community control. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Mr. Clary, is there anything you'd like to say, sir?
I'd like to apologize to officers involved and anybody else. I've been making payments to the insurance company of the gentleman's truck. I've cut ties with everything I've used to do before this offense. Everybody, everything. I don't do nothing but work, be with my kids, and I'm trying to change. I'm taking GED classes online. I'm just trying to better myself and prove that I'm not a danger to society. And I've changed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the interruption, but I believe his grandmother would like to address the court if,
Okay.
if that's permissible.
Okay, go ahead.
My name's Beverly Clary. I'm his grandmother, and he has been staying with us during this process with the house arrest. And we've had quite a few talks, and I know he's very remorseful for what he did, and I don't think that he would have made the decision to get behind the wheel of that car that day if he hadn't been impaired, and just would ask that he can continue to spend time with his family or his children, because he's always been a part of their lives with their sports and everything. Just, no, I'm at a loss for words. Sorry. But he's a good kid. He really is. He just made a bad decision that day, but it doesn't define who he is as a person. So I would hope you can consider that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
The judge wasn't interested in excuses. The defendant's family described him as a good person who made one terrible mistake, but the court focused on what could have happened. Speeding, impairment, and fleeing from police had turned a bad decision into a potentially deadly situation.
find he's amenable to community control.
The judge ultimately chose rehabilitation over a lengthy prison sentence, but this was far from a free pass. 3 years of community control, 180 days in jail, mandatory treatment, and a 3-year license suspension meant the defendant would have strict consequences while being given a chance to turn his life around.
His driver's license is suspended for a period of 3 years. I'll waive the fines and costs because he's going to be unemployed for the next year, it appears. Is there anything I need to address, Mr. Goodyear, other than post-release control and
Judge, if I missed, or you just said you waived the cost?
waive the cost?
And then came the warning that changed everything. The judge made it clear that this second chance had limits. Fail a drug or alcohol test, drive while suspended, or violate probation, and that community sentence could become 60 months behind bars. The message was simple. This was his opportunity to prove that he had actually changed.
With probation, I'm sure they can answer my questions.
Okay, sir, do you have any questions?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, that's all. Good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
King Henry, Zebra, 1105. Ray Keyes, almost lost him last name. 73 west, passing back, sir, 60 miles per hour. Permission to pit.
Yeah, English state location. 06 is Heat 7, Foothills, trabalho.
Heading on West 073. We're hopping back out on the highway, 27.